I grew up in Louisiana, a place where people take certain stories and legends very seriously. Although I didn't understand that until I was 14, 4 years ago. Back then, my dad owned an auto repair shop, and I spent a lot of time there, chatting with people who came to drop off their cars or with the mechanics who worked on them. I always heard people talking about something, either what they were seeing or what they were hearing at that moment. I thought they told those stories just to scare kids or to pass down old legends, and I found it pretty annoying that so many insisted they were real. One day, during an especially quiet day at the shop, while we were all sitting around telling jokes, an old Ford appeared. A man got out and walked up to my dad, saying that something was wrong with his vehicle. My dad, with a somewhat forced smile, told him they would try to fix it and motioned for him to take a seat next to him. As soon as the man sat down, he gave me a piercing look. I tried to ignore him, but when he started talking, he startled me. "So, you know about the Rougarou?" he said in a serious tone. With a sigh, I responded that yes, I knew something about it, and I asked, "And you?" The man laughed and, in a threatening voice, warned me, "It's better if you don't know too much about that. Even more so, it's better if you don't go looking for it. If you do, it won't be a case of you looking for it. I swear it will gouge out your eyes." He was one of those who firmly believed in the legend of the Rougarou, that mythical werewolf from French and Cajun traditions. However, I couldn't tell if his intention was simply to scare me because I was a kid, or if he was serious. With a half smile, I said, "Do you really think it's real? Come on, man." The man widened his eyes and, lowering his voice furiously, added, "You better hope it doesn't find you, kid. You'll regret saying that." That aggressive warning directed at a child unsettled me. I went to my dad, who was finishing his work. He approached the man, wiped his hands, and explained that it was just a problem with the spark plugs, something he had already fixed without charging him anything. The man's expression softened, and after thanking him, he left. I couldn't help but ask my dad why he had reacted so strangely. He seemed a bit uneasy, staring at the man's Ford, which, as it drove away, appeared to have deep scratches on its body. He told me, "That's why you shouldn't speak loudly at night. Stay close to me. And if I'm no longer around, stay away from it." I swallowed hard, terrified to hear my own father speak that way. What was wrong with that man? That same week, something even more unsettling happened. While I was at home, I saw something outside my window that chilled me to the bone. Although I've sworn to myself that it couldn't have been real, I'm not entirely convinced. It was the biggest wolf I had ever seen. Until then, I had only seen them in movies. The animal was prowling around our yard, sniffing, especially in the places I usually spent time. When I saw it start to scratch and sniff the old backpack I had left on the porch, I dropped to the floor and pretended nothing was happening, trying to convince myself it was just a hallucination. Maybe, after all, the Rougarou is real. I had my first encounter with what is known as the Rougarou. The Rougarou is a strong, intelligent creature with the appearance of a wolf. According to the stories I've heard, it's far from being just an ordinary werewolf. The Rougarou will hunt you relentlessly for days, weeks, months, even years if you're unlucky. At the time, we had moved to the countryside after buying land for our bison. The creature appeared in February 2017. It started by devouring the farmers' livestock in the area, and soon after, it came down to town. It would stalk people at night. My mother said it was the Rougarou because it always disappeared at dawn, but not before terrorizing the entire town until the sun came up. Summer 2017 arrived, and everything was fine until the night of June 17th. My mother and I were on the porch when we heard it. It was moving through the bushes on our property. It sounded agitated, like it was out of breath, and we could hear branches snapping under its weight. It was near the garage but getting closer to us. Terrified, we ran inside the house. Around 1 a.m., that's when it came back. This time, I could hear it growling. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move. All I could do was send a text message to my mother. She took a while to respond, but when she did, her reply sent chills down my spine. "If you find my body, you'll know I wasn't joking. I'm going out." She walked out of the house with a 12-gauge shotgun in her hands. I followed her with a flashlight to light the way. That's when we both saw it. It was an enormous, wolf-like creature with brownish-gray fur. But the most terrifying thing was its size. It had to be at least 2 meters tall. Its claws were long and razor-sharp. Its back was slightly hunched, and its eyes glowed with an intense brown hue. When it heard us, it dropped onto all fours and ran straight toward my room. My mother took aim and, boom, fired. According to her, she hit it in the chest, but I'm not so sure. The thing kept moving for a few meters before changing direction and fleeing into the fields. My mother ordered me to get inside the house immediately, and that's exactly what I did. My sister was awake upstairs, terrified. When my mother came back, she locked all the doors and windows and started calling several relatives, trying to find answers. But what impacted me the most was seeing her cry. I had never seen her so scared. From that night on, we were forbidden from going outside after sunset. We weren't allowed to whistle in the dark. We weren't allowed to talk about the creature. This is the first time I've told this story, but I know it will come back, like it always does. It's been nearly 7 years since this happened, and I swear that thing still follows me wherever I go. I used to work as a camp counselor. I loved working with kids and enjoying the outdoors. For a long time, I felt like that camp was the safest place I could be. But as I used to tell the kids, my God, those helpless kids, it was my fault that something so terrible happened. I would tell them that darkness itself was harmless, but that what you couldn't see in it was what could hurt you. The camp lasted several weeks. We hiked, fished, and did all the activities you'd expect at a summer camp. But every Friday, we would take the kids into the woods to tell scary stories. Of course, they were made up. Or at least, that's what we believed. The first incident happened on a Wednesday during the second week of camp. A child went missing and was gone for 3 days, until they found his body. He was lying lifeless near one of the rivers, missing an arm and his left leg. The camp director said it must have been a bear attack, and that every counselor should carry some kind of weapon in case it came back. Being a guy from the tough neighborhoods of Baton Rouge, I usually carried a .45 and wire cutters. Fast forward to the next incident. It was a Saturday during the 3rd week. I was sleeping in cabin 4B in my own room. I remember looking at my phone and seeing that it was 3 a.m. when we heard the loud sound of a drawer being dragged, followed by a heavy bang against the cabin. I jumped out of bed and grabbed the .45 from my desk. I heard all the kids screaming and running. As I stepped out of my room, I saw a shattered window and a figure heading back into the woods. I ran to the window and tried to shoot. I don't know if I hit it because the thing didn't even flinch. The rest of the night I stayed awake, startled by every sound. The next morning, the head counselor got into a huge argument with me. I remember him saying, "It's just a bear. Stop worrying. If you shot at it, then it's probably gone for good." I remember yelling and slamming the .45 on the table in front of him. "But the creature didn't even flinch," I said. "Like it didn't care at all." Eventually, we reached an agreement. The kids would leave the camp in 3 days. But that felt like too long. I should have called the police, but I didn't. 3 days later, the kids left. Unfortunately, the counselors had to stay 2 more days to clean up and organize everything. It was Monday night, and all the counselors, except the head counselor, were playing cards, drinking, and smoking. We were all trying to forget what had happened. It was around 2 a.m. when we heard the head counselor scream. Immediately, we all jumped to our feet, grabbed our weapons, and ran to the main office. Before Jerry and Colin could go inside, Brian said, "There's nothing to worry about. It's just a bear." The 4 of us went in, Jerry and Colin first, Brian and I following from the back. As we reached the rear of the cabin, we soon heard Jerry and Colin scream. Then, suddenly, a gunshot. The flash of the gunfire lit up the inside of the cabin. Through the window, I saw two of my closest friends screaming for their lives. Brian and I stood frozen in terror as the creature slowly turned and let out another roar. We both ran to my car as fast as we could. As we got in, we saw that enormous, wolf-like creature running toward us. But as it got closer, it began to shift, slowly taking on more human-like features, though only slightly. I floored the gas pedal, but the creature kept pace. I know I was going 45, yet it was still gaining on us. I got onto the highway as quickly as possible. Then, the creature stopped and just watched us. Brian finally spoke. That thing we saw, it was the Rougarou, a creature known for its ability to change form. But at that moment, I didn't know what to think. Things like that aren't real, right? That's just horror movie stuff. Urban legends. And yet, I still feel like that thing is waiting for the right moment to jump out and grab me, wherever I go. These days, I carry my 45 with me whenever I can. But I feel like something could happen at any moment. My advice? Don't go into the forests, swamps, or wilds of Louisiana unless you're fully prepared. Unless you want to come face to face with whatever took that child.